So good morning everyone. Today we are here to discuss about frequency of vibrations and normal coordinate system. Okay. So in our last session we were discussing about basically we have started with the small oscillations. So we have given different examples of stable equilibrium, unstable equilibrium, then neutral equilibrium case, and we taken a special case of a conservative system at stable equilibrium. Then we able to derive a certain formulation corresponding to Lagrangian and equation of motion, and equation of motion we represented in terms of Tij nj double dot plus Vij nj equal to 0 as equation of motion, and further we extended that equation of motion in terms of a matrix representation where we can actually represent that Vij minus omega square Tij into Aj, which is equal to 0, like we able to represent. We told that that representation we used to call as secular equation, and there is a corresponding as in that equation you are able to see that there is an omega. Okay, there is an omega representation we are able to see, which we call as the frequency of free vibration. Okay, frequency of free vibration, because this is not only a this is not a frequency that is corresponding to a single atom. So it is an this frequency is emerging due to a small oscillation that happening within an atomic system or a molecule system. I told in the last class itself why we discussed about small oscillation and all, because our main idea to address the elastic vibration, the lattice vibration that happen in a atom. When you consider a crystal, then if you give any pressure or something, some external force, it start vibrating within the atoms. So if I have two atoms, okay, so if I have two atoms like this, you know that in a crystal it will be arranged like an ordered manner. So if I have two or three atoms like that, so they are like interconnected. Okay, basically it will be there will be interconnection. So we assume for our case we are interconnected with a spring. So if there is a vibration it is happening, that is vibration means some kind of force you are applying to this, and this is start moving from this initial position. So that motion actually not only corresponding to this particle, because it will transfer. So if you just represent like an harmonic oscillator, so that's why I connected with a spring over here. Okay, so it's a schematic representation of two atoms connected with a spring. So if there is any movement to this atom to this position, there will be a corresponding movement to this atom also to a corresponding movement, as you can see. So in a lattice vibration, so you know what is lattice is. So ideally lattice means it is a set of points, right? Okay, over a set of points, if you keep an atom over that place, then we will call it as crystal. If there are n number of atom on a lattice points, so we'll call it as a crystal points. So if there is any vibration happening to a particular to this atom, it will actually transfer that to the neighboring atom. So such small oscillations can be naturally we can occur in many objects, as we know. Even in this time when I'm writing on this pad, which is actually giving some kind of vibration to the pad, and it is actually transferring to that. And even then, if I am just giving any kind of what I say, even our touch screen, phone touch screen, if you give a small touch, it's actually giving us some kind of pressure into that system. So the particle in that system start vibrating, or that start moving from that condition. So the basic idea of addressing the small oscillation is in order to explain the phenomena of the lattice vibration and the elastic vibration that is happening in a particularly some molecules, and like a diatomic molecule or a triatomic molecule. So what I mean to say it's a frequency of free vibration is that Free vibration means it is called a natural vibration. Okay, free vibration called a natural vibration. What is natural vibration means? In a natural vibration, you are not applying any kind of force. So it is actually vibrating by its own degree of freedom. We know that if you consider a single atom, it has at least have 3 degree of freedom. If you consider in 3D, there will be at least 3 degree of freedom associated with a single atom. So it can vibrate in any direction. So if an atom is vibrating with its natural vibration, that is a free vibration without giving any external force over there, and we say that this free vibration of a body, the free vibration of body at a natural frequency, that means a frequency associated with the free vibration, then we'll call it as the frequency of free vibration. There is no external force is applied in order to start the vibration. Okay, naturally any material can occur with a small vibration. So there will be a frequency. That's what I was trying to write. Okay, so there associated with a natural vibration, there will be a natural frequency. This we call as, this natural vibration we call as free vibration, and associated to a free vibration there will be a free frequency as well, which we call as natural frequency or resonant frequency. Sometimes we call as natural frequency or resonant frequency. Okay, this is clear. And now we know that there is a phenomena called resonance. What is resonance means? When you are giving a forced frequency, okay, when you are giving a forced frequency, okay, and there will be a corresponding vibration, there will be a corresponding vibration as well. Okay, and the when the forced frequency is equal to natural frequency, okay, if it is equal to natural frequency, then there will be a phenomena which is we call as resonance. What happens in that time is that the amplitude of the free vibration, will increase in that state. Okay, that's why sometimes if there are vibration that is in resonance with the force frequency vibration, so there will be a sometimes it will be start breaking as well. Okay, so the amplitude will increase in that condition to many fold. Okay, so we cannot say that how much is the amount of vibration increasing. So when there is a forced frequency with respect to a forced vibration, so there will be, when it is equal to natural frequency, then we call it as resonance corresponding to that representation. So frequencies of free vibration means that if any vibration happening in any sample or a material which is without applying any force, there will be an associated frequency. So we said that if there is n degree of freedom, there will be an associated n degree of frequency as well. That's why we call that frequencies of free vibration. If there is n atom which having n degree of freedom, there will be n associated frequency of vibration as well. Okay, that's we have seen yesterday's class. Okay, in that discussion we said that if there is n set of frequencies there will be corresponding to n set of vibration as well, according to that. Okay, now we need to move on to normal coordinate system. For that I'll take up your earlier understanding. It's about Tij. As you know, the equation of motion, if you consider again, it is Tij eta j double dot Vij eta j, which is equal to 0. Okay, so now we know that eta j is what? Eta j is, we said that this is, we generally we can represent as Aj e raised to minus I omega t. Okay, you can either represent AJR as well. Okay, so eta j means what? So it will be n eta j equal to sigma r AJR e raised to minus AJR e raised to minus I omega t. Now we said that when you represent e raised to AJR, there will be an associated frequency, that is omega r. Okay. So we said that how do we say that? What is AJR? It was eigenvector, right? So eigenvector with rth, what was, how do we represent? Rth coordinate with j component. Okay, so rth eigenvector with j component was our representation. Now we have the AJR with respect to, there is an associated frequency omega r. Then we can represent that eta j is equal to sigma r AJR e raised to minus I omega r t. Okay, omega, okay, so AJR e raised to minus I omega rt. Now if you just try to normalize, this is an eigenvector, right? So if you want to normalize this function, then we need to say that in order to normalize that, then AJR can be normalized by introducing a term, that is alpha. So we introduce a term alpha in order to normalize the AJR representation here. So what we do, what I do here is that I take eta j equal to sigma r AJR alpha e raised to minus I omega rt. This is how I represent. And now what I do is that eta j equal to sigma r AJR zeta r. What is zeta here? Zeta r is equal to alpha e raised to minus I omega rt. What is that eta r? This eta r we used to call as normal coordinate. Okay, so we have given a hint of normal coordinate in the last class itself. So what is normal coordinate means? Normal coordinate is a linear combination of a, so simply I can say that it is a linear combination of a atomic Cartesian displacement. Okay, atomic Cartesian displacement coordinate okay, that describe describes the coupled motion. Okay, that's more important, coupled motion of all the atom that comprise a molecule. So this is a simple statement I can say for that. That is, a normal coordinate is a linear combination of atomic Cartesian displacement coordinate that describe the coupled motion of all the atoms that comprise a molecule. What it means is that I said that when you represent a single vibration in a crystal, so it is not a single vibration. If there is a vibration for this particular atom, it will transfer to the neighbor one and it will transfer to the next neighbor one. So there will be a combination of vibrations and there will be a combination of frequency associated with each one. So when you describe this atom a vibration about a fixed atom that is difficult to explain for a case of a single crystal like structure. Okay, so every vibration there will be an which is actually a coupled motion. What is coupled motion means? Because any effect that is giving to this one, it will be also coupled to the neighboring one. So that's why there is a coupling between these two. Okay, so we cannot we cannot individually consider the coordinate representation of this one, because if you represent the displacement of this, okay, let me make it clear. If there is a small displacement to this particular atom, there will be a corresponding displacement here, you can see. And with respect to this displacement, there is a also there is one more displacement corresponding to the second one. If this is moving by a small distance, there will be an associated displacement to the neighboring one also, you can see. So in order to represent or in order to address this coupled motion of all the atoms that is present in a molecule, we need to have a normal coordinate, so which will give you the linear combination of the all the atomic displacement. Because here if you consider, there is an eta I displacement, you can see, and then eta j and eta k, like there will be associated different displacement can be occurred within a single molecule system. Okay, so in order to collect all that coupled motion, we need to introduce a new coordinate system, that is we call as normal coordinate system. Okay, now if you explain, okay, now if you say that if you describe the coupled motion of all atom, okay, so if you describe the coupled motion of all the atoms by the described, the coupled motion of all the atom described by a normal coordinate, if that is the case, we call this as normal mode. Okay, there's a term called normal mode, that is a coupled motion of, sorry, there's two off is there. Okay, coupled motion of all the atoms by described by a normal coordinate, which is called normal mode. A discussion into normal mode will come back again. Okay, so what I want to share you is that there will be a normal coordinate, which is a linear combination of all the atomic displacement coordinate that describe the coupled motion of all the atom that comprise a molecule. Now if you describe any coupled motion with respect to a normal coordinate, which is we call as normal mode. Okay, the main things we have discussed is frequency of free vibration. Frequency of free vibration is if any motion is free of any external force and it is start vibrating with the frequency, then we call as frequency of free vibration. It is individual property of any atom without giving any supply of force. That is basically, that is the case. Now we'll come to the discussion of this normal coordinate. How do we, this normal coordinate representation will change the representation of potential energy. For that, what we do that, we introduce it the equation of motion in terms, sorry, eta j in terms of zeta r is equal to alpha e raised to minus I omega rt. Now what we start do is that we'll represent our Vij, that is the potential energy in terms of, now we'll try to represent potential energy in terms of normal coordinate. That means in terms of eta r. So what do we expect? Okay, so what we said is that eta j is equal to what? It is basically sigma r ajr alpha e raised to minus omega rt, right? Now for convenience, I'll just give this r into s, that is eta j equal to sigma s AJR alpha, sorry, AJS alpha e raised to minus I omega st. I'll keep that representation. And now we know that what is V is. V is equal to sigma ij half Vij eta I eta j. Hope you remember that. The potential representation we represented like this. Now if I substitute V equal to eta ij half Vij. Now I need to represent eta I. Okay, what is eta I? Eta I term it as like this. Eta I equal to, okay, eta I equal to sigma r AJR e raised to minus I omega RT, and eta j I'll keep it as like this. Okay, this is eta j sigma s AJS alpha e raised to minus I omega st, and eta I represent like this. Okay, now if you substitute in this equation eta I and eta j here, so how do we it will come? That is sigma r AIR. Okay, this is not AJ, this is, sorry, this is I, right? Okay, AIR. So sigma R AIR eta R, then we have sigma S AJS eta S. How do I represent that? This one is what? Sigma R AIR eta R, and this one is what? Sigma S AJS E zeta S. Okay, clear? Now we know that we can represent, similarly we can also represent the representation in terms of Vij. Vij is what? We know that Vij from the secular equation. When we consider secular equation, so we have an equation that is Vij minus omega square Tij equal to 0. Or rather I can represent Vij is equal to omega square Tij, right? Okay, now if we substitute that equation here, that is sigma ij half sigma ij, okay, Vij, okay, let me take aj sigma as together here. Okay, that is, one second, let me make it more clear. This, okay, I'll keep the half over here, half sigma ij, and there will be a 2 summation over r and s, that I keep it together, that is sigma rs, and Vij we know that it is omega square Tij. Now if I represent omega square Tij, we have as AIR, right, and we'll be having sigma s sigma r like this. Okay, hope you understand. So what we have done is that we have just substituted our Vij, that is omega square Tij, then we have just taken summation here, and AJS AIR eta s, sorry, zeta s zeta r, this symbol we used to represent zeta. Okay, then which is equal to, how do I represent this one? Now we know that if you consider the equation AJSAIR, hope you remember the orthogonality condition in the last class, then in that discussion we know that this can be simplified as, okay, sigma ij Tij AJS, right? Our equation was, let me make it check. Okay, yeah. So in last class we had a representation for orthogonality condition. So orthogonality condition says that sigma ij tij ajs air is equal to delta rs. Hope you remember the condition. For orthogonality condition, we have sigma ij tij ajs air equal to delta rs. Now I can substitute because there is a term representation like here, right? So we have sigma ij here, then tij here, ajs there, sorry. Okay, this term. Okay, so if you consider this term, we can sigma ij, we can keep it together, so we can replace this entire term by y, delta rs, right? So what I do is that half sigma rs will be there, sigma ij tij ajs ir, that is the orthogonality condition, which is equal to delta rs, right? So I can substitute that. So we have omega r s square now. Okay, omega r s square, then there will be delta rs eta s eta r. Okay, now we know that orthogonality condition, when you consider orthogonality condition, we used to say that if r is equal to s, now what we have represented, the potential we are represented in terms of frequency of free vibration and the normal coordinate representation. Here you can see that representation here. Okay, so this I will keep it as a representation corresponding to the potential. This is a general representation. Okay, this is a more general representation. Now we know that this delta rs will be valid if r equal to s, then we know that delta rs will be equal to 1. Okay, now in that idea we'll represent, again we can short down half sigma r, because there will be r equal to s, so we can keep sigma r omega r square. Okay, then there will be sigma s into sigma r, that is sigma r, because r equal to s. So we have v equal to half sigma r omega r square eta r square will come. Finally the representation for v. Okay, v equal to omega r square divided by zeta r square will be our corresponding representation. Okay, now similarly, now we represented potential energy in terms of the normal coordinate system if r equal to s. Okay, now similarly we can do for kinetic energy in terms of normal coordinate. How do we do that? Kinetic energy in terms of normal coordinate. For that we know that T equal to what? T equal to half sigma ij Tij eta I dot, then eta j dot. This was our kinetic energy representation. Now we know that what is eta I is, eta I is equal to sigma r air zeta r, and what is sigma j is, sigma j is equal to sigma j equal to, sorry, eta j equal to sigma s ajs zeta s. Now we need to know what is eta I dot. So eta I dot is what? Eta I dot is equal to sigma r air zeta r dot, because this is our coordinate. Okay, and similarly eta j equal to sigma S, AJS, eta S. Okay, so this is how we get. Now we can substitute that into the equation. Okay, now we can substitute this into the equation. T equal to, we know that T equal to what? T equal to half sigma ij Tij. Now we can substitute eta I dot, right? Eta I dot is what? That is sigma r aij zeta r dot. Okay, and similarly we have sigma s ajs okay, like we will be getting, right? Now we'll have a representation that is corresponding to, we'll keep it as like this, half, I'll keep sigma rs together, and sigma ij Tij aij, sorry, say represent aij, is air. Okay, this is air ajs into sigma r dot sigma s dot. And now we know that this is again what? This is again the orthogonality condition, that is delta rs. So our equation becomes what? T equal to half sigma rs delta rs omega r dot and omega s dot. So this is our generalized representation corresponding to potential energy in terms of normal coordinate representation. Who is coming now? Okay, half sigma rs delta rs eta r dot, sorry, zeta r dot zeta s dot we will be getting. Now if you give the condition like as we did earlier case, if r is equal to s, becomes, then delta rs will be equal to 1 by Kronecker delta function or orthogonality condition. Then we will have T will be equal to, the kinetic energy T will be equal to half sigma r zeta r square. Okay, this is how you represent kinetic energy in terms of normalized coordinate representation. Okay, now what we have done is that we identified that zeta r is a normalized coordinate representation. Now we have tried to implement or try to find kinetic energy and potential energy in terms of this normal coordinate representation. Okay, now we got kinetic energy and potential energy here. Now what we do, what we are main idea is that we need to find the Lagrangian. What is Lagrangian? It was L is equal to T minus V. So we got potential energy and kinetic energy. Now we can simply substitute that into the equation. Then we will get half sigma r zeta r square. Okay, zeta r square minus, that is our kinetic energy representation. And similarly, if you have the potential energy is what? It was half sigma r omega r square zeta r square. Okay, yeah, okay, here it was zeta r dot, right? Okay, zeta r dot earlier case. Okay, here also it is zeta r dot, right? Okay, so here also it is zeta r dot. Okay, square. Then now we know that how do we find the representation corresponding. Now we got a Lagrangian representation. Okay, then Lagrangian equation we got, and see if we want to simplify this into a smaller one, like if you can just keep the half part outside, then sigma r eta r dot square minus sigma r omega r square zeta r square, you can simply like this as well. And now we need to know the equation of motion. Okay, equation of motion. For that we need to know that two representation, because what is equation of motion basically was, it was d by dt of dou L by dou zeta r dot minus dou L by dou dou zeta r, okay, which is equal to 0. This was our equation of motion. So in order to identify that, we need to find what? We need to find what is dou L by dou zeta r dot is. Okay, we already got the Lagrangian. Take a differentiation of the dot one, then we will be getting it is sigma r eta r dot, because there is an half value will be there. So if you just take sigma r dot square, then it will be 2 sigma r dot square by 2 will be there. So we will be getting dou L by dou zeta dot is equal to this. Okay, and similarly if you do dou L by dou zeta r, which is equal to what? Which we will be getting as minus sigma, okay, minus sigma r omega r square zeta r will be getting. Now if you substitute these two into the equation of motion representation, now we'll have what? d by dt of sigma r eta r dot. Okay, so there will be 2 minus will be there. If you substitute that into the equation, it will become plus, right? So we'll have plus sigma r omega r square zeta r will be equal to 0. Okay, this is our representation corresponding to um, equation of motion. Now if you do this d by dt over here, then you can further extend this into d by dt of sigma r dot, okay, sigma r omega r square theta r equal to 0. What is sigma r d by dt of sigma r dot? That is sigma r zeta r double dot will be the plus sigma r omega r square zeta r equal to 0. Now we know that the summation is over r. So if I just want to remove the summation for a convenience, then I can just represent this equation as eta r zeta r double dot plus omega square r zeta r is equal to 0. So this is how the equation of motion representation in terms of normal coordinate. Okay, so zeta r is the corresponding representation of Lagrangian equation of motion corresponding to the representation. Now you can see over here. Okay, so this is equation of motion in terms of normal coordinate. Equation of motion in terms of normal coordinate. Okay. Now if you consider any case, now we have zeta r double dot plus omega r square, zeta r sorry, zeta are equal to 0, right? Now if you consider in any case is that if omega square r is greater than 0, if omega square r, this is, we know that it is a frequency of free vibration. Okay, if omega square r is greater than 0, then we call it that it is a stable coordinate system. Okay, it is a stable coordinate system, stable coordinate. And now if you have omega r square is equal to 0, or a negative value, then we used to call this as infinite or unstable, infinite coordinate with unstable equilibrium, infinite coordinate with unstable equilibrium. And here it is stable coordinate with, you can say that that is stable equilibrium. So in order to have a stable equilibrium, you should have the omega r square, the frequency of vibration should be greater than 0. If the frequency of vibration is equal to 0 or negative, then we will be having infinite coordinate or an unstable equilibrium corresponding to that representation. Okay, so what we have done so far today is that it is about, we have, first we have said free vibration is what was free vibration? If any oscillation happening in a body without the influence of any external force, then we used to call that representation as free vibration. If the frequency associated with the free vibration, so that it is a natural frequency, because without applying any force we are having such frequency, such oscillation there. So the associated frequency we call as natural frequency or frequencies of free vibration. Then we extended a representation of a for a coupled motion, that is for every vibration in an atom which is associated to the neighboring atoms as well. So there will be a coupled motion within a molecules, like you take an example of oxygen or carbon dioxide. If you take the example CO2, so which we, if you represent that is in terms of a coordinate system, again anyway we need to discuss that. Okay, now if I simply I say that this is a carbon, this is an oxygen, and this is an oxygen. If there is any change, this is the first position qi. So if there is mu by q0i, okay, now it is mu by a distance qi, okay, and there will be a corresponding change with respect to this molecule as well. This carbon also will move to some distance, and this oxygen also will move some distance. So in order to represent this coupled motion, because if you give simple force to the oxygen, there will be an associated change to the carbon's position as well, and the second oxygen position as well. So this is a coupled motion we used to call. In such cases, in order to represent the Cartesian coordinate corresponding to that, we need to need a coordinate system that we used to call the normal coordinate system. So that's we have seen today. It's about normal coordinates and frequency of vibration. And now we need to discuss about, we have been so far we have been discussing about different cases of frequencies of vibration, um, and we are saying about normal coordinates and different cases. And next we need to discuss about the taking an example of a diatomic molecule and a triatomic molecule. Okay, in your syllabus we need to discuss only about triatomic molecule, okay, but we'll give a brief idea of a triatomic molecule as well. Then we'll come back to a triatomic molecule. What is diatomic molecule means? You can simply take a oxygen molecule, so because it's having two atoms. Okay, now we'll look into CO2. So it has three molecules, so there will be a carbon, there is an oxygen on the either side. Okay, this is how we represent. And now if you have only one atom, which we call as monoatomic. Okay, so with respect to different atomic system, okay, how do we the vibration we need to explain, how do we apply this normal coordinate representation and the frequency of vibration representation to different molecules of diatomic, triatomic will be discussed in next class. I think we will extend that discussion into next class because it needs some time. Okay, because we need to explain with the figure, so I don't want to confuse you by putting in haribari. Okay, so we'll discuss about diatomic molecule vibration and corresponding representation. How do we, because we know that, why do we discuss about potential energy and kinetic energy in all this discussion? Potential energy and kinetic energy, because we know that when you consider diatomic molecules, you already would have studied in some in classical mechanics, it's about harmonic oscillator. Okay, in harmonic oscillator case, so in that case when you represent a kinetic energy or the energy associated with that case, normally we'll represent kinetic energy plus potential energy, so which has half mv square. It is a very similar term. Then there will be associated potential energy as well, which we are used to represent as half kx square, because kx is the change in distance, v is the associated velocity. Okay, so and this part also you may be familiar with Hooke's law and all, f is equal to minus kx, which we call as Hooke's law. And this is a case of harmonic oscillator. Basically what is an harmonic oscillator? So any two atoms which is actually oscillating with a harmonic with a single frequency or a number of frequency, which we call as harmonic. Harmonic means a same frequency vibration, okay, with the almostly same amplitude representation, that's we used to call as harmonic oscillator. So when you describe any harmonic oscillator with respect to any two atoms, any diatomic case, we'll always say about the associated potential energy and kinetic energy, because the internal energy of such vibration has a combination of kinetic energy and the potential energy. And this is a very important discussion about the harmonic oscillator, because this has lot of implication when you study about the lattice vibration. Okay, lattice vibration, especially why the lattice vibration is very important is that when you consider specific heat capacity of a solid. Okay, I'll just give you why do we more interested in lattice vibration on the, because when you consider specific heat capacity of a solid, okay, in that discussion we know that what is specific heat capacity. It is the amount of heat, right, amount of heat required to rise a 1 gram or 1 molar atom to 1 degree Celsius or 1 Kelvin. So it is the amount of heat required. The origin of this specific heat capacity, how do we say that the specific heat capacity is, because there are two origin. We basically say that it is, one is due to lattice vibration, another one is due to free electron. Okay, the phenomena of specific heat of solid, okay, it is actually depends on two phenomena, that is lattice vibration and free electron. So it is very important to understand lattice vibration, and it is very important to understand free electron theory associated to that in order to explain this specific heat capacity of solid. It is one of the phenomena I would like to say. There are many other phenomena associated with lattice vibration as well. Okay, if you want to explain this specific heat capacity of a solid, we need to know about lattice vibration. Even that lattice vibration, there are a lot of associated theories as well, which we call as quantum theory. Okay, in that quantum theory itself there are two classification: Einstein's theory and there is Debye theory, and there is a classical theory as well. Okay, why do I this just say is that what you try to study or learning by this example small oscillation, this has lot of implication when you understand the a property of a solid. That is one of the small example I would like to say. When you say the property of a solid, you need to implement this basic knowledge, because when you consider quantum theory or a classic theory, what they do discuss is that they'll be discussing about harmonic oscillators. Okay, their general postulate is based on harmonic oscillator behavior of atoms. If there are two atoms which is separated by a distance, so which is actually like a harmonic oscillator, because it will transfer the energy to one from another to one. So it is basically vibrating like a harmonic oscillator. This was the postulate of this classical theory. Based on this postulate, actually they are trying to explain the origin of the specific heat capacity of a solid. So it's very important to understand what is lattice vibration is that, and how do we explain lattice vibration, how do we explain kinetic energy and potential energy. If there is a coupled motion between two or three or more polyatomic case, how do I explain the energy associated with that? So that is very very important. That's why this part of the classical mechanics, it's about small oscillation, it is very important. Okay, hope you understand why do you study, because that is more important, that when you study anything you need to know that why I am studying this part of the discussion, why I am spending this much time with on this lengthy theoretical discussion, because it's very important. It has a lot of application when you explain the small phenomena and the small properties that is associated with many system, like even in a crystal or any other system. Okay, with that brief idea, I'll be stopping today's class, and we will say that in next class we will be discussing about the diatomic case, where we will be understanding the vibration for a diatomic molecule. Then we'll extend that discussion into a discussion of triatomic molecule. That is a part of our syllabus, triatomic molecule. Okay, hope we will do that discussion on the next class. What I want to share is that, what I want to say that, please refresh all the parts of small oscillation before next class, because next class onwards we will be applying what all things we already studied. Okay, so you just refresh this small oscillation part what we already studied today until today. Okay, so with that discussion I will be stopping. If you have any query